We talked about you choosing an open-ended question or two.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ways to really show good active engagement during an ELA activity is something called Turn to Your Neighbor. And I'm sure you've used that here and there, but it really works well with deeper questions. So we have a checklist here that we'll kind of go through and help you prepare for what that lesson will look like.
Okay.
So the first thing is, who are your learning partners? So when they turn to your neighbor, you want that planned ahead of time. So have you thought about with your room arrangement what that might look like?
Yep, so the friends who are sitting beside someone will just turn and talk to their neighbor, and then the friends who are islands, I'm going to assign them prior a group or a friend to join in with.
Perfect.
To.
And I know some of them, I do see you have kind of pods going,
yeah.
And then just maybe the long strip in the back, you let them know ahead of time. I like that, and making sure everybody knows. And then move any students that are farther apart from islands, putting those students, and you don't have any, all of your areas are near each other, so nobody's like off too far. So that'll work well. And so we talked about you were going to have a couple questions where they can then go back in the story to find evidence or think about. So what kind of questions did they need to think about prior to turning and talking?
So one of my first questions is, what was the real reason Opal was upset when her father said they had to give up the search for Winn-Dixie? So we read it, they should know it, so they should sit here. I'm going to give them a few seconds to think about it, maybe 10-15 seconds, and then I'll tell them to turn and talk to their partner about why they think that.
Okay, so we're thinking about the end of the story here, and that's really where the preacher, her dad, really had a change, didn't he?
Yeah.
He at first, throughout the whole story, was kind of quiet and reserved, and now he's a little bit vulnerable, showing a different side. So I wonder, could we open that question up instead of just saying, what did he do towards the end? Could we say something like, how did the preacher describe how the preacher changed from the beginning to the end?
Yeah.
And that way it gives them a few more vocabulary words to think about, rather than saying, oh, he cried. They have to think about that before and after. Does that sound like something they could do?
Yeah.
Now, I know they've read the story and some students might have forgotten. So perhaps having that chapter ready to go, maybe you show them where that is, and I know you can on the computer maybe have them open to that chapter.
Okay.
And then I would give them, instead of maybe that 10 or 15 seconds, because they might need to reread if they've forgotten.
Yeah.
So maybe give them, set a timer for a couple minutes, and then they can, some of them like to write. Maybe they want to write it down, or maybe like you said, they can just read and have it in their minds of how he's changed. And then you said the next thing is, once they have their ideas, they'll turn and talk to their partner about that. Okay. And then to confirm their understanding. So how are you going to know that they are actually participating?
I mean, I do plan on walking around, making sure
Kind
that
of
they're
listening
on task,
in.
listening up.
That's a great idea. So is there something that you want them to produce? So you want them maybe to have a comment ready to share. They can give a thumbs up. Do you want them to write the answer as a team? How is it that you think that would be best to kind of practice this strategy for yourself?
For my friends, I think it'd be a good idea to give them a note card for each group and then have them jot it down on the note card, and then they're able to share it, so then they're not trying to sit there and remember. And
I like that. And then they could put their names on the top, and you can kind of collect it. And that gives you an idea, too, to see, are they thinking beyond that story? Are they able to notice those and use those different vocabulary words, those synonyms for those traits? I like that idea. So you're going to have them write on an index card, and they can pre-plan it ahead of time. Think about giving a time frame.
Yep, maybe, what do you think, 5-7 minutes?
Yep, I think maybe 5 minutes, and then you can always count down if they're focused. And then that's a great idea. Then collect that, and maybe you even have one or two of the groups share out, but not everybody. So that is a great strategy. And then how will they communicate with each other? So basically, you already have that question. What is it going to look like? You want to make sure that your students know what turning and talking looks like. So have you practiced that before?
Yeah, we've done that in here. quite a
So
lot.
can you explain, what do you want that to look like? When they're,
just talking.
I like
turning to
that.
their
So
neighbor.
making sure you remind them, make sure
Body
you,
language to
yes.
make sure they're facing each other, not talking
Absolutely.
away from each other like this,
Exactly.
looking at each other.
Not worrying about any other groups around them, and having that card in
Yeah.
between,
Not
having,
mingling with other groups either, because I want it to be their idea, not
I
another
love
group's
that.
idea.
That's great. So this is a wonderful checklist, and I'm wondering, how can I further support you? Is this something that I can come in and observe you teaching, co-teach? We can do a video to then watch later, or if you want me to model, what is something that you're most comfortable with? How are you feeling about this strategy and trying it out now that we've talked and learned about it?
I'm definitely always open to co-teaching as well, just to make sure that I'm also on the right track, to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So either co-teaching, and also independent. So,
So as we know, we don't know if we'll have our third grade assistant helping us out, or I could come in during that one time tomorrow, and then let's go ahead and we can co-teach this together. So in order for it to co-teach together, the part that I think that you would definitely be helpful is, your students pretty well. So I can introduce the question and get everybody started on our task. And then you can then go ahead and your class, so you can set the partners and practice kind of getting that. And I'll go around, make sure we're ready. We'll pass out those index cards. And what the best way we want to do is maybe have the question written. Even if you give a piece of paper, maybe we print a blank sheet of paper with the question at the top. Or we can write it on the board, but we want that question visible so everybody can see it. And we can do that ahead of time. And then if you would also have the chapter prepared and know what you are going to have them do. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. And then from there, we will finish it out, and then both of us can kind of go around and check in, and I think that helps keep the pairs on task so they can get practicing that more and give you a little bit support in that. And then from there, we will choose one or two friends. Maybe you choose the friends to share out, and we'll kind of work through that together. And I will video it too, just so we can kind of see how it went.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.